This thought is over here, bounces off that wall, turns into this thought, then goes over there. This activity that I'm doing bounces off of there, goes into this.
Yep.
Hey, well, good day, Steve.
Good day.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Steve.
And this is the Steve and Steve Show. So one of these times recently, Steve, we had an opportunity to do one of these, and you really turned the tables on me and just surprised me with something. So it's my turn for a payback today. I get to surprise you. Steve has no idea what we're doing here. First of all, we always want to start these things with thank you all for watching. We love the fact that you guys are subscribing to this. We're getting more and more subscribers every day, and we really appreciate it. Keep on doing it. Tell your friends and family and acquaintances about it, right?
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. The button's down the bottom. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. And then that little bell, if you hit that, you'll get a notification when we publish the next video.
So before I actually announce what this is, Steve, today we have some special drinks. I don't know that we need to drink them yet, but these are here for us to enjoy. One time we had beer, we have wine. We're going to keep changing this up, I think, as well as we go along.
We had coffee, water.
We have. Well, cheers on this. So
cheers. We're doing this at the beginning.
I better get a little bit out beforehand. So what's the topic today? The topic today is...
And I have no idea what the topic is.
Drum roll, prayer.
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 Okay. That could cover a lot.
Could cover a lot.
All right.
So I want to ask...
Good thing is that this is a topic I probably could talk about.
Oh, well, that's good. So I should have changed it to something like, I don't know, toilet
Well,
paper.
it depends on where we go with this topic, because it's a very vague
It
topic.
is. Is it vague? Well, I think it's very... it's going to be interesting.
Okay.
All right, well, let me ask you right out of the gate. What is prayer to you?
That's a good question. So that's where we're going to go.
Yeah. What is prayer?
Well, that is, well, first of all, prayer is recognizing that we have a higher source, right? Because to me, prayer is an opportunity not only to communicate to our higher source, to God, for
Okay.
specific. When you're prayer, it's more of an activity and an intentional activity.
So your will is involved in prayer.
Yep.
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 All right.
And I think there's the interaction. So how do you get that interaction, right? So I think a lot of people do when they're doing prayer, they're doing all the talking, right? And they can be verbal or they can be in their own mind talking. But I think there's another level of prayer, and that's when you're sitting silent and waiting for insight.
Right. Okay, so I don't disagree with you at all. I think prayer is most certainly communication with the eternal creator of the universe, which right in and of itself says that, well, I'm not God, right? Because unless I'm talking to myself. Anyway, I am not God. So I am sitting down, and I think you mentioned something about a kind of prayer that I have learned to love over quite a long time is something called contemplative prayer. And while it sounds like a big word, it's really that kind of prayer that you spoke of, where you're either in a church, in adoration, in your room, in the woods or up on a mountain, where you are usually by yourself, and in the silence of whatever place you're in, you attempt to get all of the thoughts that you have out of your mind and attempt to be, like, I think in the Bible might be one of the places where many of the prophets would say, "Here I am, Lord." And that's where they would stop. Here I am, Lord. And with that, it was just attempt to quiet your mind so that, all the noise is gone. I mean, we've talked about distractions a lot in our different things. So for me, one of the greatest things about really the pinnacle of getting rid of those distractions for me is prayer. So that's why I wanted to bring this up. And I don't know how many of you all pray today, but I can certainly say that in my life anyway, it has been an incredible centering kind of activity. How about in your life? And I'm going to take a glass.
And so when you say centering activity, what do you mean by that?
I mean, so the idea of being uncentered is kind of like remember that game? Now we're going to date ourselves a little bit. That Atari game called Pong. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know. Some of you, some of our listeners may not quite remember it, but it was this game.
I'm not sure it was just Atari.
I think it was.
I think there was a game that by itself that was
Pong. Okay, well, maybe it was on the Atari system, but and I think it's actually an app now too. But it basically was this ball that would bounce all over in this square, and you were trying to have a paddle and bounce it back and forth. Well, sometimes I think in our lives can be like Pong. You know, this thought is over here, bounces off that wall, turns into this thought, then goes over there. This activity that I'm doing bounces off of there, goes into this.
Yep. Well,
and so it's all over the place.
It's funny, like recently, because I travel a lot, and there was a week that I had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 segments.
Good.
In that week, right? So I'd go from one city to the next, but in between those cities, I had to change, go to a hub and change planes. And so in my Facebook, if you follow me on Facebook, you would see that there was one time it says I'm playing ping pong this week and I'm the ball.
I actually did not follow him on Facebook, and that's not where I got the Pong thing. So that's synergistic.
But that's it, yeah. So
that's interesting.
But the distractions, right, and being grounded. So one of the practices that for success is to get centered and grounded, and prayer can be that source, right? Some people, what they'll do is they'll close their eyes and take some deep breaths, clear their mind, put their feet on the ground so they really feel the ground, right?
Right.
And they close their eyes, take some deep breaths. At that point, what is that? Do you say a prayer? Do you just clear your mind and welcome whatever thoughts are coming? But that activity of grounding yourself sets you up. It's that ritual of okay, I'm centered, I'm grounded, now I can move forward. And prayer is a very good tool and mechanism to get that going.
Right. So interesting. You talk about grounding and we use the word centering on this. I think today I wouldn't be generalizing too much to say that a lot of folks out there consider meditation as a means of doing that grounding and centering. And I don't disagree at all. Meditation typically, though, may not have that initial thing we talked about, which is the eternal creator of the universe is the focus of prayer. In meditation, oftentimes it's more of a enlightenment of myself. Now that may be connected to some universal thing, but I can tell you from my standpoint in prayer, my prayer is every bit of my will and the attempt of my will to communicate with, to commune with the eternal creator of the universe. But both of them are very centering things, and they're very much getting you out of that kind of Pong of bouncing back and forth all over the place and getting you into a place where you can be quiet. Yeah. And if that ends up bringing up, subconscious things that really stir up and dig up the ground, you tend to be more fertile in your thoughts and in your activities, don't you think, when you're centered in that, when you can get
so earlier I mentioned like a ritual, right?
Right.
So
yeah, you're right.
So it's kind of you and I think I don't know if you were going this way, since this is a topic that you just kind of threw out there.
Yeah.
But prayer in itself is a ritual that people can adopt to start their day, to end their day,
Yes.
or to right before they take stage, or when I say take stage, that can be when you're ready to get on a conference call, when you're ready to get on a call to make those sales calls, right? So that centers you, grounds you, and it's the ritual that puts you in a state of mind to be able to have a clear and welcome, for our case, welcome the Holy Spirit to help us through that
Right.
process. So it's a ritual that we can adapt, and ritual becomes important for us because that gives us those habit muscles that we need on a regular basis. And you can always start with a great morning routine.
Great.
And have that holy power. And that's a success principle. All the people that are successful and rich have their power hours, their morning routines, their holy hours, and they all do it in the morning. They'll get up early before they go. It's the first thing they do in the morning. They get meditation, prayer, or their mindset correct before they start anything else, and then they could do their physical activity, and then they do their appointments.
I like the fact that you mentioned this as the first thing, because I can't tell you how many times where because I have an hour of prayer that I do, and I've always said I must do this first thing in the morning before anything else. Well, I may get up and use the restroom or get a glass of water. So, but
Yeah.
that requires toilet paper. We're doing this during this whole craziness of toilet paper in the world. It's all, actually, you can't get toilet paper anymore. So, but I guess my point is here, when you put that first in the morning, it sets the tone for the rest of the day. Okay. And I've found it when I don't do that, and I'll go in and I've got 15 minutes, so I'll start doing something, but I got to go and do this, this, and this. And when I move into those, I have found just about every time that my day is more chaotic and more ping pong all over the place. Yep. Because I just didn't start out the right way. In addition to that, if I start out the right way, I find that I am a lot more likely to go into a moment of prayer throughout the day, a moment of silence, a moment of centering throughout the day, because I set that tone that way. Yeah. I don't know. For me, this has just been revolutionary. And I really, while I've prayed most of my life over the past year or so, I've been very concentrated on a full hour of prayer in the morning. And it's like really something else night and day.
Yeah. I think we lost our main camera. Well, let's go ahead and close out.
Okay.
So, with the concept of prayer, I think it's important for people to realize that it's the morning routine. And once you get into a morning routine, you can have a very positive day coming out from setting that up in the morning.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think the key is to just do this every day. Yep. For me, it was a massive change when I got to the point where I was doing 1 hour of prayer every single day. That changed a lot of stuff. And when I would skip and do 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, it get that same kind of fragmentation where it was kind of like that Pong game of me bouncing around in between distractions. So I gotta say, for me, it's been terrific to have that routine, as you explain it, as a routine in your life to set the tone for the rest of the day.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notice button so you can get a notification when we publish our next video. Until next time, thank you and have a great day.
Cheers. Troublemaker.
Really like that ting.